Welcome back to Kittens and Crochet YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this cute little ghost. What you will need for this ghost is medium 4 acrylic yarn. I used Red Heart Super Saver and I'm using white. You will also need a 4.5mm crochet hook. You will need a fine 2 yarn, which I used Cotton Fair and black. This is for the smile, and then if you want to stitch in eyes instead of using plastic, you can do that as well. If you go with plastic eyes, my eyes aren't labeled what size, so if you look, it's about 1/2 inch wide. I also like to glue my eyes in, so I have this Fabric Fusion glue. You will also need some stuffing. You will need 2 different yarn needles, a larger one for the yarn and a smaller one for the fine 2 yarn. You'll also need scissors. Optional is pins to hold arms in place. And also optional is a space marker. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to get started with the body of our ghost. So go ahead and make a magic circle with 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For the next row, we're going to put 2 single crochet in each of the 6 stitches around. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's the end of row 2, and you should now have 12 stitches around. Row 3 is going to be 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the second stitch, and then we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So you'll have 1 in the first and then 2 into the second, and then just keep repeating that. 1 in the first and 2 into the second, 1 in the first and 2 into the second, 1 in the first and 2 into the second, 1 in the first and 2 into the second, 1 in the first, and then 2 into this last stitch. So that's the end of row 3, and you should now have 18 stitches around. Row 4 is going to be 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch, and then we'll just repeat that all the way around. So 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and then 2 into this third, and then just repeat that. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 into the third, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 into the third, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 into the third, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 into the third, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 into this last stitch. So that's the end of row 4, and you should now have 24 stitches around. Row 5 is going to be 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 4th stitch. And we'll repeat that all the way around. So you got 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then 2 single crochet in this 4th stitch. And then we're just going to keep repeating that. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 into the 4th, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 into the 4th, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 into the 4th, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 into the 4th, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then 2 into this last stitch. That's the end of row 5, and you should now have 30 stitches around. For the next 5 rows, which is row 6 through 10, it's going to be 1 single crochet in each of the 30 stitches around. So this is row 6, should be our first of 5 rows even. So you're just going to place 1 single crochet in each of the 30 stitches around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that is the end of row 6. And this will be row 7, which is also 1 row even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Alright, so that's the end of row 7, and this is row 8, which is also a row even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And that's the end of row 8. And this will be row 9, which is also a row even. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, hello, Peanut, and 30. Yes. Can I help you? You're hyper. Okay, so that was the end of row 9. And this is row 10, which is our 5th row even. So go ahead and just place 1 single crochet in each of the 30 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And that's the end of row 10. For row 11, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 13 stitches, and then we're going to invisible decrease 2 of the stitches together, and then we're going to repeat that. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 13 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And now we're going to do an invisible decrease 2 together. So if you're not sure how to do that, you're just going to go into the front loop only of your next stitch, like that, and then also the front loop only of that second stitch. So then you got 3 on your loop, and you pull it through the 2 and then pull it through the 2, just like that. And then we're going to repeat what we just did. So put 1 single crochet in the first 13 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That leaves you with 2 stitches left. So again, do an invisible decrease. So you're going to go into the front loop only of both stitches. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that's the end of row 11, and you should now have 28 stitches around. For row 12, it's going to be 1 row even, so 1 single crochet in each of the 28 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. That's the end of row 12. Row 13 is going to be 1 single crochet in the first 12 stitches and then invisible decrease 2 together. And then we'll repeat that again. So you're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then invisible decrease 2 of these stitches together, And then we're going to repeat again. So 1 single crochet in the next 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that leaves you with 2 stitches left. So go ahead and invisible decrease those 2 together. And that's the end of row 13, and you should now have 26 stitches around. Row 14 is going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 26 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. And that is the end of row 14. Okay, and this is row 15. Row 15 is going to be 1 single crochet in the first 11 stitches, and then invisible decrease 2 together. So 1 in the first 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And now we're going to invisible decrease 2 of these stitches together. And now we're just going to repeat that. So 1 single crochet in the first 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you have 2 stitches left, so go ahead and invisible decrease those 2 together. And that's the end of row 15. And now row 16 is going to be a row even. So 1 single crochet in each of the 24 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And that's the end of row 16. Row 17 is going to be 1 single crochet in the first 10 stitches, and then we're going to invisible decrease 2 together. and then repeat that. So 1 single crochet in the first 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we're going to invisible decrease 2 stitches together. And now we're just going to repeat 1 single crochet in the next 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now we're going to invisible decrease our last 2 stitches together. And that's the end of verse 17. Row 18 is 1 row even, so 1 single crochet in each of the 22 stitches around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And that's the end of row 18. And now we're going to stop and add a little bit of stuffing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add some stuffing now. Okay, so you don't have to fill it all the way up. Just kind of get the shape of the top of the head nice and round. And then we're going to stop here and just continue crocheting. So we left off at row 18. So row 19, we're going to start with invisible decreasing 2 stitches together twice. So go ahead and invisible decrease these first 2 stitches together, and then you're going to do that again. Invisible decrease 2 stitches together. Now you have to be careful when you do that because it might look like your next stitch is right here, but if you look from this angle you can see that is actually where you invisible decreased that stitch. If you're not sure if you made a mistake, then you can always count. You should have 18 stitches remaining. So if you count from your space marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So just make sure that you have 18 stitches remaining. With that said, now all you're going to do is place 1 single crochet in each of the remaining 18 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And that's the end of row 19, and you should now have 20 stitches around. Row 20 is going to be one row even, so one single crochet in each of the 20 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And that's the end of row 20. Row 21 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together twice in a row. So we're going to go ahead and invisible decrease these first 2 stitches. And then we're going to go ahead and invisible decrease the next 2. And now you'll have 16 stitches remaining. Go ahead and place one single crochet in each of these 16 remaining stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So that's the end of row 21, and you now have 18 stitches around. Row 22 is going to be a row even, so one single crochet in each of the 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. That's the end of row 22. Row 23 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together twice. So go ahead and invisible decrease these first 2 stitches together, and then invisible decrease the next 2 stitches together. And now we're going to place one single crochet in each of the remaining 14 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And that's the end of row 23, and you now have 16 stitches around. Row 24. Row 24 is going to be one row even, so one single crochet in each of the 16 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And that is the end of row 24. And now we're going to stop and add more stuffing. Alright, so just add more stuffing to your ghost. You should see that it's starting to curve into a different direction here. Instead of going straight down, it's curving. So just go ahead and add. Make sure you have a nice round head, and then continue stuffing around here. Okay, go ahead and add stuffing till it's almost all the way at the bottom. And once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and move on. So now we're on row 25. Row 25 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together twice. So go ahead and invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together. And then go ahead and invisible decrease your next 2 stitches together. And now you should have 12 stitches remaining, so go ahead and place 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that's the end of row 25. And you should now have 14 stitches around. So row 26 is going to be 1 row even, so 1 single crochet in each of those 14 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. That's the end of row 26. Row 27 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together twice. So go ahead and invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together. And then go ahead and invisible decrease the next 2 stitches together. And now you should have 10 stitches remaining. So go ahead and place 1 single crochet in each of those 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that should be the end of row 27. And you should now have 12 stitches around. Row 28 is going to be 1 row even, so 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit more stuffing here. So just go ahead and add stuffing almost all the way to the bottom here. Or I guess top if you're holding it like that. All right, and go ahead and move on to row 29. Row 29 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together twice. So go ahead and invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together, and then invisible decrease your next 2 stitches together. And now you should have 8 stitches remaining, so you're going to go ahead and place 1 single crochet in each of those 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's the end of row 29, and you should now have 10 stitches around. Row 30 is we're going to invisible decrease 2 together twice again. So go ahead and invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together. Sorry for the squeaking. And then invisible decrease your next 2 stitches together. And now you should have 6 stitches remaining, so go ahead and place 1 single crochet in each of those 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's the end of row 30. Row 31, we're going to invisible decrease 2 together twice. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said at the end of row 30 you should have 8 stitches around now. Row 31, we're going to go ahead and invisible decrease 2 together twice. So invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together, and then invisible decrease your next 2 stitches together. And now you should have 4 stitches remaining, so go ahead and place 1 single crochet in each of those 4 stitches. And that's the end of row 31, and you should now have 6 stitches around. So now you're going to go ahead and slip stitch into your next stitch, and then we're going to cut this yarn free, leaving a long enough tail to weave it closed. Okay, so now we just need to finish stuffing this little end here. So in order to get the stuffing in there, you'll probably have to use the back end of your crochet hook. So I'm using a different one because mine has this rubber padding on it. So Just go ahead and take your time and go ahead and just stuff that in there. Alright, so after you finish stuffing, we're going to go ahead and close this hole up. So go ahead and get your larger yarn needle. And you got 6 stitches remaining. You're just going to go ahead and weave in and out of those stitches. And after you made it all the way back around to the beginning, just go ahead and pull on that tight to close it up. And go ahead and knot off down on a stitch here at the bottom. And then you could take this yarn tail and just take it into the body of the ghost and just out a few different places. And then you can go ahead and cut it free. Yeah, so the body of our ghost is now complete. So we'll go ahead and move on. To start the arm, we're going to make a magic circle with 6 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For the next row, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So we're going to do 1 in this first stitch, and then 2 into the next. And then we're just going to keep repeating that. So 1 in the first, and 2 into the second, 1 in the first, and 2 into the second. And that's the end of row 2, and you should now have 9 stitches around. So for the next 4 rows 3 through 6, it's going to be 1 row even. So we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of the 9 stitches around. So this is row 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that's the end of row 3. and your work will probably start rolling towards you. Just go ahead and roll it away from you. Roll it towards that yarn tail. Okay, so row 4 is also 1 row even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's the end of row 4. Row 5 is also a row even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's the end of row 5. Row 6 is our final row of rows even. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Row 7 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together. So go ahead and invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together. And now you should have 7 stitches remaining. It's going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you should now have 8 stitches around. So we're going to go ahead and stuff this yarn tail in here. And we're just going to put a tiny little bit of stuffing down in this arm. Not a whole bunch. Now for row 8, which is our final row, we're going to go ahead and squeeze the arm together, and we're going to single crochet it shut. There's 8 stitches, so it should only take 4 single crochets to close your arm up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead and cut yourself a long yarn tail for attaching, and go ahead and finish off. So now that your first arm's made, go ahead and set this aside, and we will go ahead and work on our second arm. To start the arm, we're going to make a magic circle with 6 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For the next row, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So we're going to do 1 in this first stitch, and then 2 into the next. And then we're just going to keep repeating that. So 1 in the first, and 2 into the second, 1 in the first, and 2 into the second. And that's the end of row 2, and you should now have 9 stitches around. So for the next 4 rows 3 through 6, it's going to be 1 row even. So we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of the 9 stitches around. So this is row 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that's the end of row 3. And your work will probably start rolling towards you. Just go ahead and roll it away from you. Roll it towards that yarn tail. Okay, so row 4 is also 1 row even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's the end of row 4. Row 5 is also a row even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's the end of row 5. Row 6 is our final row of rows even. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Row 7 is going to be invisible decreasing 2 together. So go ahead and invisible decrease your first 2 stitches together. And now you should have 7 stitches remaining. It's going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you should now have 8 stitches around. So we're going to go ahead and stuff this yarn tail in here. And we're just going to put a tiny little bit of stuffing down in this arm. Not a whole bunch. Now for row 8, which is our final row, we're going to go ahead and squeeze the arm together, and we're going to single crochet it shut. There's 8 stitches, so it should only take 4 single crochets to close your arm up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead and cut yourself a long yarn tail for attaching, and go ahead and finish off. Okay, so you should now have both arms made, so let's go ahead and move on to assembly. Okay, moving on to assembly, the first thing that we're going to put on is the eyes. So first you can decide like where you want your ghost, like his little tail to be like facing. I like it when it comes, kind of curves this direction. So this will be the front of my ghost. So for the eyes, they're going to be approximately between rows 8 and 9 of the head. So if you start at the top and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this space right in between here is where I'm going to place my eyes. And they're going to be about 5 spaces apart. So I use pins to kind of mark where I'm going to put them. I'm just going to go ahead and place this eye in here, but I'm not going to glue it in yet. And then I'm going to do the same to the other side. I'm not going to glue it in just because I want to make sure after I put the mouth on that that's exactly where I want them. So we got the eyes. So the next thing that we're going to add is the mouth. So the mouth is going to be evenly placed between the 2 eyes, but it's going to be 2 rows down. So the top of the mouth should be in the space between rows 10 and 11. So if you want to count from the top again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is row 10, and this is row 11. So I'm going to go ahead and stick one of my pins right there in that space. And the top of the mouth should be approximately 2 spaces apart. So I'll stick that there. And as you can see, this is pretty evenly spaced in between the eyes. And the bottom of the mouth will just be 1 row lower. So we're going to go ahead and get our fine 2 yarn and our smaller yarn needle. And get this yarn on the needle here, and we're just going to go ahead and double it up. And then just come through the side of the face here and just pop up where you want the top of one side of the mouth to be, and pull, but don't pull all the way through. Leave some of this yarn tail behind. So then go ahead and go down into the bottom hole, and then just come away from the face, or way out the side of the face. And then go back and we're going to pop out right at the next top of the hole there. And then just go down below. So you'll have 1 little stitch here in between the bottoms of your mouth. Just pop out underneath that and pull. And now go over top of that and pop out right back at the top of the smile here, like such. Now just go ahead and go underneath the 2 strands of the smile and wrap around it. So I wrapped around that twice. Go underneath the bottom part of the smile. Gonna wrap around that once. And then this right part of the smile here, I'm gonna wrap around it twice. So now there is your smile on your ghost. And go back into the ghost. I feel like I've been calling this thing a snowman. I hope I haven't. But go back into the top part of the ghost and pop out the side of the head here, matching up with where you started. And then you can cut your yarn needle free. And I'm going to switch to this bigger yarn needle. And go into the ghost and just pop out the back to take these strands away. So there's your little smile. And then go ahead and cut these free. And if you have to, go ahead and tuck them in here to hide them. Alright, so now we got the eyes and the smile. The last thing we need to add is the arms. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the arms. So the arms will be attached approximately in the space between rows 12 and 13 of the body. So if you count again from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is row 12, this is row 13. So we'll be attaching it in this area, in the space in between these 2 rows. So I'm going to use my pins to just pin this one in place. And then the other one will be attached directly on the other side. So you can count down if you want, or you can just eyeball it. And there it is. So I'll go ahead and pin this arm in place. And you can kind of just look and make sure you're happy with the placement before you start attaching. And I say approximately because if you're not really happy with this placement, you can always go up a little, down a little. And that's why I also said don't glue the eyes in yet, just in case you wanted to change the position of the arms and the eyes look better somewhere else. So I am happy with this, so I'm going to go ahead and attach. So the first thing I do is on the side where the yarn tail is, I just immediately go into the body of the ghost and I pop out right where the other end of the arm is. So in the body here, out the body on this side, and I go ahead and grab that first stitch of the arm and I go right back into the body of the ghost and I pop out right behind the other stitch of the arm, and I go through the stitch of the arm, and I'm going to go down through the second stitch of the arm right here and into the body of the ghost and away and back into the ghost. I go through that last stitch of the arm again, and then this third stitch of the arm, which we haven't been through yet, I go down through that and into the body, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull it away here. And then that arm is attached. So then I'm going to go ahead and knot off on a stitch of this arm. And I'm going to go back through the arm and body, and I'm going to pop out in the back here, and I'm just going to leave that yarn tail there for now. So there is one arm attached. So now we're going to attach the other side the same exact way. Instead of the yarn tail being in the front on this side, it's in the back. Still just going to go through the ghost first. And we're going to pop out right in front of the other end of the yarn, or the arm. Go through a stitch of the arm. Right back into the ghost. Popping through the last stitch of the arm there. I'm going to go down into the next stitch of the arm and into the ghost. And back in through the ghost and stitch of the arm, and down through that second stitch that we haven't been through yet. Pull it, and then just make sure it's attached, which it is. So I'm going to go ahead and go over back to the arm and knot off on a stitch of the arm. Go back through the arm, and I'm going to go ahead and meet up with this other yarn tail back here. I'm just going to go ahead and lightly tie these two together. Go ahead and cut them the same length to make it easier. Get them both on the yarn needle. And go back down through the body. Go ahead and cut it free. So the last thing to do is go ahead, if you are happy, glue these eyes into place. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my spot with a pin. Just adding a little bit of glue to the eye. I'm just going to easily work that eye back in there. And then doing the same thing to the other side. All right. So now your eyes are in place, and here is your little ghost. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please check out my other playlists. I have plenty of other tutorials. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel, and I thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy your ghost.